All right, 24 days to go. And like I said, really not a lot going on. I mean, we had the two disasters and all the political carrying on back and forth, everyone accusing everybody. I do know the current administration does not like it when people start asking questions about funding and stuff and things they really can't answer quite clearly, and they get very upset over it. But I spent a good chunk of the day going way out and looking at some pretty off the wall conspiracy theories. Okay, there are several of them out there. There are several people warning about things. So let's start. There's a couple of them. So let's start with the first one. Does the government control the weather? Now, I do know that there have been instances and experiments, scientific stuff about manipulating the weather. Okay, whether they can do it or not, and see, here's another thing. If they really can do it, you don't want people knowing that you have the ability to do it. So after watching Redacted, and they had this guy that's an expert on there, he kind of explained what was done is, and he says, okay, he says, and he says he has evidence. These two hurricanes were manipulated and sent to these areas, and like he asked them, is it a political? He said, yep, they're swing states, and all the mayhem and that it caused, and these are two swing states that basically supported Trump. And he said how it's done is they get a cargo plane to spray a very fine metallic material into the atmosphere, and then HARP or whatever, I forget what it's called, these broadcasting towers send out an electromagnetic pulse or frequency or something, I'm not quite sure what it is. But this affects the magnetic particles, and because it's magnetism, it either pushes them one way or the other, okay, or pulls them towards the directional force. I do know, that this is happening. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. And he showed on a map where all these things lit up and moved that storm right into that area of North Carolina. And he said, number one, two things to throw these states off that are pro-Trump with this disaster. Throw them off, and he did say that there is a huge amount of lithium up in there somewhere, Black Rock or something. And there's a lot of people who live in this little bitty tiny town that don't want to sell their property. If you're going to make $1 billion, you come over and offer me $150,000 for my house, fuck you, I'll stay there. But these are the conspiracies. Florida, he said, another state, the governor there has done a lot of things during the past 4 years to counter a lot of these policies by this administration. And again, two hurricanes within a month totally devastated the state. Okay, now this throws off all the voting processes. People are homeless, buildings are destroyed, so this is chaos. Chaos 24 days prior to the election. And by the way, in my state, the 17th, early voting starts. 17th of this month. So we can vote early. And if it is available for you, I suggest you do it. Because now we're going to go on to our next conspiracy theory. So there's kind of three. The second one is terrorists have been let into the United States of America with the open borders, and they're setting up and getting ready to attack on Election Day. attack voters, disrupt the election. ISIS was mentioned and all this other stuff. And they had a guy who was a whistleblower from the CIA that says that the CIA sets this up. They get some Arabic people that really ain't, he said, too bright, convince them to do this, and they do it, and they get some other people to join in and plan this, and they get everything set up. Then the FBI swoops in, arrests them, and say, hey, we saved the day, we caught this terrorist, when these people actually were brought here by the CIA and work for them. Okay, being the rat fuck bastards that they are, I could see them doing that. That, I believe, out of all of these crazy things. The weather, I'm kind of thinking, I had my roof replaced from some hailstorms. I had some hailstorms. I never seen nothing like it. Okay. And this global warming and all this other crap, I doubt that. Alright. So, could be. I'm gonna be half and half with the weather, or leaning more towards it, because the guy was pretty convincing. Now the terrorist thing, yeah, I believe they do that shit. Okay. Which, if that's true, then that ain't good. So you got these terrorist threats, and one survival prepper guys had a video saying this ain't clickbait and that, don't go to malls, don't go to large public gatherings and all this other stuff, that something's going to happen. How true that is, I don't know. Of terrorists. And like I said, a lot of it is done as false flag operation. Now they're talking, now we go on to the third one. So we got controlling the weather for political gains, said terrorist attack, and now this mass casualty stuff. One theory is, and some people have said, that neither candidate will enter the office because prior to the election going down, there will be a mass casualty event, which would mean some sort of a strike of some sort, or some kind of explosion, be it with radioactive stuff. That's why I got my Geiger counter out. I did the video where I dusted that off. And even to go as far that someone said, with all of these releases of the U.S. military of all these UFO sightings and all this other bizarre stuff flying around our aircraft carriers, interfering with our aircraft and floating around nuclear missile facilities. They may even, if it's not a preempted strike from a foreign country, okay, with a missile of some sort on U.S. soil, which probably do it, they could say that aliens have showed up, used some sort of weapon, and now, like he said, the head of NORAD becomes in charge of the government. This is a mass casualty event. Martial law is declared, and all of your liberties and freedom are suspended in a state of emergency of a worldwide disaster. Okay, be it true or not. It could be something they can pull. Okay, they did it with the health issue. Stay inside your home or you will be arrested. I think it was a dry run for this, and I don't think it worked out too well. So that possibility, while it might be there, I kind of doubt that it will happen. And then a fourth one, which is my concern, is they will have some sort of cyber attack or some computer glitch, as they called it, or a legitimate cyber attack. If somebody does this at the time of this election, and this is a scenario I seen in the movie. This is a scenario that if they destroy our satellites, have a cyber attack, destroy the GPS system, the communication system, shut down the electrical power grid, okay, that would be worse than any of these things that I listed here. You know, the other three things. This fourth one's bad. And that's something both me and my wife are more afraid of that. That puts more fear in us of something like that happening, which is not that far-fetched and is not that, how can I put it? It's more likely that will happen than the other different things. That is probably a probability. Okay. So that's what I've been ingesting, listening to, dealing with, and I thought I'd just bring it up and talk about that, because that's the thing I was kind of researching and listening to. And these people that bring up these far-fetched theories do have some pretty credible evidence. Okay, so it might not be as far-fetched as we think, you know. So it's up to you to decide. But again, best thing to do is like what I do. I get my things done. I make sure I relax in the evening and just try to keep a positive attitude. Because really, there's none of these things I can change alone or at all. We have to hope that the collective of all of us stay together and things go forward in a positive direction. All right. So, I believe I will have my live at 10 o'clock tomorrow. I may have to cut it short because I'm going into one auction as I'm doing here, and I will participate in it tomorrow. So, alright guys, hit the like button, subscribe, and stay tuned.